about the average price for like EV bike, you know?
I can be arranged, you know.
That you 2 bottles of water? Are you thirsty? That thirsty? No, 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 no. What's that?
Wait, look, my.
There's always in my office there,
Yeah, I know.
Renee, there's
Oh.
always somebody in my office. You know, you're more than welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have $2.
Some technical, I don't get my allowance. this
That's
week,
all I
so
have. It's $2.
Oh, God, technical always with this.
I don't get my allowance this week, so I'm
$2 for both of them.
charging everything up.
The lottery ticket
$2.
for $2.
What's it up to?
One is 1 billion, the other one's 640.
Well, the cash value is like-
Extra money goes to my kids.
Hmm.
So you look like you're.
Yeah, we like tough man, get turf with that. We could. I'd buy it for him if I wanted. Well, it's, if you take it over 25 years. And Kelsey, the cash, it's probably like.
See accountant coming out.
He beat us out of at least one semester of tuition.
Yeah, ready when you are, Mr. Mel.
Okay. If you take the cash value, you get the. 500 million. Really? Yes. Here.
Good evening. This is the work session for Northfield City Council, July 18th of 2023. This meeting was properly advertised in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, and in the Press of Atlantic City on January 7th of this year. May the flag salute led by Mayor Chow, please.
Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated.
Roll call, Mrs. Bucci,
Here.
Mrs. Carfano, here. Mr. Deweese,
Present and accounted for.
Mr. Leeds,
Here.
Mr. Notaro,
Here.
Mr. Smith,
Here.
Mr. Palestina,
Here.
Mr. Chow,
Here.
Mr. President.
Thank you. I'm gonna go right into our committee reports, Councilman Leeds.
The fire department responded to 50 calls for service for the month of June. EMS was dispatched to 107 calls in our city. They were sent out 57 times. And we had mutual aid come into town 50 times. Of the 107 that they responded to, 55 people requested transportation, 52 refused. The 4th of July parade is held over this month and pretty decent turnout, but the one thing I want to point out, the public posted pictures on social media, and one of the pictures that just stuck out more than anything was of a young little boy standing with his fist out, and one of our Northfield police officers gave him a fist bump, and that just sent, I know I told the chief about it and told him what a great message that sent to our community. So people, and thank you all for taking the time to recognize a little boy. And speaking of the police department, there was a missing person in the city earlier this month. And I just want to acknowledge both Tim Joe and Chief Von Collin. At midnight, from midnight to 3 a.m., I know that they were out there leading the search and stuff like that. And I know that they're with them, and I just want to thank both the chief and Tim for going above and beyond to try to bring somebody home. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilman Deweese. The parts for the light for the sign out front have been received, and Calvi has been hired to install the light, so don't have a schedule for when they're going to do that, but they are scheduled to do it in the near future. The other thing is met with Superintendent Quinn Vitale and the Chief Colin about we're going to start closing the outer gates to Birch Grove Park. There's a lot of vehicular activity in there late at night through the wee hours of the morning. So I'm speaking with the chief and Quinn, I feel the best thing to do right now is to lock the outer gates. And the time is going to be floating a little bit, but generally speaking, sometime around 11 o'clock in the evening. And they'll be opened up 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. So that's all I have tonight. So I can close anytime after, when it closes at dusk, so anytime after that. Well, the outer gates, we have to leave those open because baseball's active right now. Okay. So we have been closing the interior gates, but that's not, some of the vehicular activity is behind the baseball building and, you know, the Nebraska building and things of that. So the outer gates right at, right. On the street of Burton.
Right next to
right
Burton,
by
right on
the,
Burton.
the farm
Okay.
field. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you. Councilwoman Bucci.
Thank you, Council President. As far as Economic Development Commission is concerned, I sent all of you our meeting notes, from our meeting with Triad and the city officials. If everybody can just take a quick look through that and see if you have anything to add, and just send me an email to that effect. We're working with Triad. We mean the Economic Development Commission is working with Triad to develop the economic element of the master plan. The next meeting we're gonna have is with the Economic Development Commission, which is a number of the city businesses to get their input. And then all that will all put together, and then Triad will come up with the economic element, and then we'll move forward from there. Also, the Economic Development Commission, we're hosting an event on August 22nd at Atlantic City Country Club in conjunction with the New Jersey Small Business Development Center. And that event will have resources available for all small businesses, and it'll be all open to all the communities in Atlantic County. It'll be advertised. The word will be spread through the Economic Development Commissions of our surrounding community. That's going to also be fully funded by the New Jersey Small Business Development Commission. So, and I think that's all I have. That's all for me tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. Not much to report. The Little League will be hosting there's a free clinic that's going to take place this Sunday. The Northfield Cardinals of the South Jersey South Shore Baseball League will be putting this on for the benefit of the Little League boys and girls from 9 to 12 on Sunday. And otherwise, for shared services, I did speak to Mayor Maddox of Linwood regarding dispatch. We have to have more meetings, certainly, but one of the pieces of information he did share is they're not prepared budget-wise to do anything prior to the next budget cycle in terms of bonding. So the earliest we would be able to do it would be 6 months into next year. So we're still meeting on that. We'll be meeting on that this year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. The only thing I have is thank you for everybody who came out for the July 4th parade. It was a huge success. The Cultural Committee wants to remind everybody that for Northfield Night Out, they will be open from 6 to 8 p.m. if anybody wants to stop by. The next meeting for Mainland Regional High School is August 21st at 6 p.m. And Project Refit, the organization who came for Veterans Affairs, is planning on coming at the end of August. So I'll keep everybody up to date. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilman Natara.
Thank you, Mr. President. I spoke with Ashley Pushman from Atlantic Prevention Resources in reference to the Breathe Easy signs for the bike path. She said she would supply us with an unlimited amount of signs wherever we wanted to put them. I said maybe we would start with like 30 signs and see where that takes us. Maybe at the intersections, at main intersections, we could put those. And I'll be meeting with her on Thursday of this week to pick those up, and then I'll get with Buildings and Grounds and Public Works for the installation of that. Not only was the 4th of July a great success, like always, and I'd like to thank all the people involved of setting that up, the Cultural Committee, Police Department, everybody involved with that. It's a wonderful event. The lineup was great, very organized. I was very impressed with that. Not only was that a great success, but the Connellan Mile this year doubled in size. It was amazing. We had 450 runners. What a great year. It's really ramped up the committee, and maybe next year we're going to get a different timing service and accommodate a little bit better. It was kind of like took us off guard, you know, we were expecting maybe 300 and 450 show up. So great event and it's nice to have those things in our town. That's all I have.
Thank you. For my committees, the library board, unfortunately was not able to make the meeting. However, I took their meeting minutes. They did hire, the last director, was let go, but they did, during that last meeting, approve hiring Matthew Freund till new library director. I'm not sure of a start date or if he's already started. But hopefully he'll be a good fit for the library and continue on. That's all I have for the library. The senior citizen committee, we did meet last month, at the end of the month, right after our last meeting. It was an open meeting. Some of the folks from the police and fire department were there. Firefighter Trench and Captain Nixon spoke about a couple of their programs, the smoke detectors, the checking up on seniors that may live alone that need just to make sure they're okay every so often. Officer Sundstrom did speak about some of the scams going on with that phone scams where people try to manipulate people and steal money from them. The one thing he mentioned obviously is the IRS never calls you. So don't believe them. Also, if you get a call from a utility, these are top ones, utility. If they ask for a gift, if you ask for you to pay immediately and with a gift card, that's a key red flag that they're scamming you. Some of the other things we spoke about were just things going on in town. Some of the residents asked about. One thing was, which was new to me, but I don't know that it's ever happened. That people squat when you're out. Yeah, you'll be away. She heard that they come in, but and you can't get them out of your house. But I haven't. I recently heard someone else mention that, but I've never seen that or been able to find that to be the case. But they asked about the parks, different parks issues, and the other topic that came up was the fact that we had voted not to go forward with cannabis, and they had asked about that as well. That's all I have on my committee.
Quick question on that is that, what was the turnout? Did you have?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there was about 20 residents did attend.
Oh, okay. Good. Decent.
We had it at the library in the meeting room there. It was, we had room for more. So hopefully as we get things rolling again, we can increase that attendance, make it available for more and more people to show up. Okay, moving on to the ad hoc committees. On the electric vehicles, we did go over the Councilman Notaro and I met and went through this. The state had a template of an ordinance that was quite long and didn't really, a lot of it didn't apply to what we would need in Northfield. So we started going, we went through that, and then what we'll do is we do need to have a full committee meeting to go over certain specifics. And our engineer is part of the committee, so we'll arrange a schedule so that we can go through the ones that will be more in your wheelhouse and that we can address what we need to change in that ordinance and something we can present to council. Any update for the food trucks?
I'm still waiting on hearing from the police department and
Okay. Affordable housing, I don't think we have anything to report there. And I don't think doing the insurance, there's nothing more to report there. Yeah, we need to work on making any changes if we want to do that. So
Yeah.
what we need, yeah. County, anything from the county? Okay. Okay. And we don't have any, there's no update on the developing those lots, the Northfield lots, that's
I
still,
did receive two of the
Oh.
three title reports. I've got to review them and then get them, presumably the habitat man.
Let me touch base with Lex and was one of the three Jackson or,
No, that one's a nightmare.
okay, because that's the
One.
one,
Find a last deed of record piece.
okay,
okay. I will follow up with Habitat and see what they want to do next.
Jackson was, block 121.
121.
that one's gonna be. Anything on the sober living?
Yeah, I spoke with Tiffany. Tiffany wants to drill down on that a little bit more in terms of potential other zoning regulations, that we could implement into the ordinance. So she asked for a little bit of time to do that, so she can get an estimate and a proposal out to the city for that purpose.
Okay. Okay, but we don't need that. Let's see. On new business, well, the first new grant opportunities, I did, Councilman Deweese and I did meet with a consultant, they were working or looking at USDA grants. One of the things they want to do is USDA provide grants that will pay for the engineering services as well as the preparation of the grant applications. However, you're not, we would have to apply for that. In order to apply for that, their cost would be $8,000 to apply for that piece. If we don't, and then the other services would be another 43,000 to apply, but we wouldn't, that would only be if we got the grant, obviously,
Right.
unless we decide to go forward, because, but
And-
we would need to get the $8,000 grant that pays for the planning process.
We'd have to front the money and then get,
But, well, no, if we don't get if we don't get the grant, then.
then you lose the money.
Then, yeah, that's our risk, is that we
Right.
end up paying $8,000 for,
If you get the grant, you get reimbursed for the,
if we get the grant, then at least it pays for everything. And the application to do some wastewater and some roadway, or wastewater and some community facilities.
is there,
The total of that grant would be 51, but then they would be what the ultimate grant would be for would be we haven't identified the specific streets, but it would be the streets and the sewer for an area that we need done.
So that, the 8,000 is just a one-time fee, and then you get to the.
Right, but
And then they apply to.
We
the
spent
different grants,
8,000 and
right?
they approved the grant, it covered 40.
my point being, we would be risking $8,000 to go forward with them, assuming we have the funds available. That's something I need to verify with our CFO. But before I did that, I wanted to see if council
do you-
would to move forward with that.
do you know that, is there an odds of getting this? Is there is there some kind of witchcraft or whatever, how they decide this type of thing? Who gets it, who doesn't get it? I mean,
That part I'm not aware of. I don't have the money pool now.
right,
No, it's a USDA grant. The consultants are former USDA employees or directors. But that doesn't obviously guarantee anything. I'll get that additional information.
yeah.
That's a good question. The money pool and I mean, obviously, the people going for it would be everybody, just like always. That's all I have there. Next item that was requested was discussion on a traffic signal for Oak and Zion.
Yes, but I think I have to talk to the county to find out about that.
Well, that's come up several times and I believe it has come up in the last 2 years with
It's a blinker.
Chief Newman had presented it and.
Yeah, we've actually entertained a signal and a four-way stop, and both of which in recent years have been denied. Because of, it doesn't meet the criteria. What I can tell you is that the road, Zion Road is under construction right now. Public Works Superintendent is actually in the process and already has a couple of quotes already to purchase bigger and motion activated aluminum stop signs, illuminated stop signs for Oak, both sides of Zion. So. We're just gonna put them on top of the existing poles, but we're just getting the cost right now for the signs.
The other option, I mean, the other issue was, there was a resident who lives right there on Oak and Zion heading south. And she was saying how it's really hard to see because you kind of have to inch out like all of Zion is. It's really awkward. So I know Zion and the bike path, it's the same way. You kind of have to inch out, and by the time you're out, you're pretty much in the street, in the roadway.
Well,
So I
that's a
don't know how to
total
stop that.
realignment of the intersection, and quite frankly, I don't see
Yeah.
that happening because there's not the right of way out there to do that, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
but- It has been done in the past, when Chief Newman was here, within the last couple of years, but certainly if council wants to do that, I entertain, I suggest writing a letter to the executive and asking for a traffic impact study.
Isn't that something they're gonna have to do if we obtain that property under development?
Maybe,
So
who knows?
we're gonna be doing it twice.
They would have to do it. What was that? They have to do it.
So
Sorry.
we were talking about the developing, potentially development on that.
If there's any
They-
development at the old school.
Oh, right,
They
yeah, yeah.
will That at that point, should that happen, so are we gonna do it now and then, or have them do it twice?
Well, that's still, yeah.
I mean, I know that's a maybe up in the corner.
Yeah.
We, as the city, we can't exact off-track improvements. So that's not our call if that development does go forward.
The only thing I'll add is when Councilwoman Carfagno asked me about this, the county does prefer, when requests like this are made, that a letter come from the governing body, not from one person. They want to understand collectively that the entire governing body supports the notion. So that's why it's on the agenda. So we just don't want one person calling them. It needs to come from everybody.
Mira, do you recall the last time it was done?
Yeah, if we do a straw poll, about sending a letter. And I would say that we should send a letter and include either a signal or, and since the stop signs will require their approval, put it all in.
Four-way stop or traffic signal.
Or just the large, motion sensor stop sign so that they can evaluate the whole thing.
That might be a little dangerous.
We don't piecemeal this and we get a quicker result. And as you and I had spoke previously about painting the street, Ronnie, would you know, if we wanted to do something in the street, not the strips, no, just the wide
Striping across.
wide striping leading up to the intersection on Oak to try to. I mean, it's still. We still have to rely on the people to see the stop sign, pay attention to the stop sign, pay attention to the paint, but
It does help.
I would. I mean, if we did both or whatever, I mean, yeah.
Council President, I have a question for the chief. Chief, have there, you know how many accidents have been out in that intersection in the last year?
Great idea, especially like when we post the speed boxes around town and it starts to flash like white real quick and grab people's attention. So something with a stop sign of that nature to
Great. Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll give them, yeah, we'll do something.
Give 'em three
there.
options.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe we could just request a solution, not, okay, we want a traffic light, you know.
well, request one of those three things.
Yeah.
Anyone, everyone was to go forward?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, seems like all in favor of doing that, so,
We're writing letter.
yes,
Who's writing letter?
who's writing the
I
line?
guess me.
Renee, or Councilwoman Carfagna. Thanks, thank you.
I will quietly.
Okay, at this time, we'll move on to, if everyone can please refer to your agendas.
Finance, Mr. President, with the design work, is the county paving that?
They are.
You know, where is that?
Third.
Schedule
How many months?
from where to where?
3 months from
Still
now.
working on it.
The whole, length. Is it the whole length of Zion or is it?
That could be an issue with wiring maybe, right? I don't know.
Mr. Smith, to your question, the only thing that could impact some of the things we're talking about is if a traffic light is installed. That could be the traffic signs, the stop signs, won't affect the paving, but traffic signals definitely will.
Definitely.
Thank you. Okay, and we're doing the meeting, the regular meeting agenda. Approval of the minutes, Councilman Deweese, Councilwoman Carfagno. The resolutions, we're gonna pull 139 and 144 from a consent agenda. They're conflicting, they're field use approval, then they conflict with each other, so we can only do one or the other. So the consent agenda for the other resolutions, Councilwoman Bucci and Councilman Leeds. Resolution 139, Councilman Notaro, Councilman Smith. 144, if 139 fails, Councilman Notaro, Councilman Smith. Also,
I
140,
think you should move
I
it.
thought you just pulled them. Yeah.
If it's gonna fail,
okay,
I think you should move it either way.
Yeah,
okay. Okay, we'll move it either way. And I'm sorry, 146 is also pulled from the consent agenda. 140, 139, 144, and 146 will not be part of a consent agenda.
separate. 146 is separate.
Yeah.
Oh, 144 is the.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which we also need, oh, yeah, 146 is separate because it is dependent upon our executive session. Councilman Leeds and Councilwoman Carfagno. Ordinance 9, Councilwoman Carfagno, Councilman Deweese. Who's that, Tom? It's your second. Ordinance 10, Councilman Deweese, Councilwoman Bucci. Ordinance 11, Councilman Smith and Councilman Leeds. Payment of bills, Councilman Leeds, Councilman Machado. And meeting notices, Councilman Smith. At this time, we will open the meeting to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any topic, we ask that you please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Tom Boyd, 117 Northfield Avenue. Very interesting on the subject of intersection. I live at the intersection of Wabash, Zion, Northfield Avenue, and Fay Avenue. Last thing I want to see is a traffic signal. While I'm no traffic engineer, I doubt very much that it would be permitted because there's a signal at Tilton and Zion Road. I don't want to see a flashing light, but what I would encourage council to consider, talk to the county about, is the possibility of one of those signals like is at Wabash and Mill and Zion Road, where the pedestrian or the cyclist activated. It's just a flashing, you know, if you're familiar with that.
The pedestrian crossing sign like
Yeah,
that.
no, I think particularly,
There's one at the clock.
yeah, particularly now that the ice cream parlors, I've noticed a lot more bicycle traffic, scooter traffic on the bike path. And I think that would be something that would be sort of a safety related issue for the public. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Maybe we'll add that to the letter.
Seriously, that's what I'm talking about. It's a really dangerous intersection.
Is there anyone, if there's anyone in Zoom, please raise your hand and indicate you'd like to speak. Hope the Zoom works.
Mrs. Brennan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are
Working.
you? Good evening. This is Joan Brennan, 116 Dolphin Avenue. I would just like to say thank you to the police department and of course, Chief and Tim Joes for the help for the 4th of July parade. It was the most outstanding and the most organized this year. We had changed up the route a little bit at our last meeting with them, and I think it worked out so much better. It was a lot more organized, going in the one direction versus multiple directions, and it really helped a lot to keep people in line versus them going all over the place. So I just wanted to thank everybody for their help with it. It was amazing, and that was it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you so much for all you did to get that off the ground and get going down the street.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing no one, the public session is now closed. May I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The work session is now closed. We'll begin the regular meeting momentarily. Walk faster.
Holding us up. We always seem to get up, right?
Welcome on yourself.
So Mary, where do you walk?
Depending on how far I want to go, I'll go do the labyrinth at the Yale School,
Okay.
then down to, Tilton, and then back down to Birch Grove, and I usually do the interlude
Right,
and back.
of the park.
Because by that time it's starting to get dark and I don't want to.
It's a little area out there, yeah.
Is it buggy?
I don't even like to run out there by myself in the dark.
Yeah, because I'm,
I thought it would be.
I was really impressed to see you when you were running, having like full on conversation on the phone,
Oh, yeah, it's that's past the
Totally.
time.
not winded.
You can only listen to the radio, so.
never do the labyrinth though?
What is it?
Did you ever do the
That's,
labyrinth?
No,
So it's at the Yale School, and there's instructions, and it's supposed to be like meditative and contemplative.
okay.
It's lovely, it's really very nice.
Yeah.
There's like painted. stone.
Oh, yeah, the,
it's in front of, yeah, it's in front
uh-huh,
of-
And then you get to the center.
yeah, it's neat.
It's all cool.
right behind that.
So is it like you have to you have to like walk it a certain way? What do you do?
Has
You can only really go one way.
There's instructions.
Go in, turn around and come back out the same way.
Okay.
Can't cross the rolling stones though.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Don't go in there like a. Yeah.
Bad luck.
Yeah, you're done. Stay out of there.
Stay on the
I'll
path.
end up crossing
Stay
something
on
wrong.
the path. Don't go off the path.
That's why they say back out of the cemetery.
Still here.
Good evening. This is the regular session, Northfield City Council, July 18th of 2023. This meeting was properly advertised in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, and in the Press of Atlantic City on January 7th of this year. May I have a flag salute led by Mayor Chow, please?
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ladies and gentlemen, let us remember and keep in our prayers those serving in our nation's armed forces, especially our troops away from home. Thank you. Please be seated.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Bucci.
Here.
Mrs. Carpena. Here. Mr. Deweese.
Here.
Mr. Leeds.
Here.
Mr. Notaro.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Palestina.
Here.
Mr. Chow.
Mayor,
Mr. President.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve minutes? Have to make it, yes, sir. Have to make a motion to, adopt the, I'm sorry, I can make a motion to approval of minutes for June 27th, 2023.
Second,
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Mayor.
thank you, Mr. President, City Council members. First of all, again, I want to reiterate comments. Thank you very much, Chief, and all the other organizations that were involved and still working in terms of trying to find this missing person. And what your report to me, I think it was really, you guys outstanding. And also I want to thank the people who organized the 4th of July and the race. I was a little taken back, over 400 runners that day. You know, I usually provide the drinks and we ran out.
Yeah, we did.
I didn't know why until I found out there were over 400 runners. We've never had that many people.
Well, next year, we're gonna need more, so.
I'm sure you will.
I need a bigger bucket.
I would just want to remind everyone again, the National Night Out is going to be August the 3rd. We changed the date or at least made that modification so we don't conflict with other municipalities. So looking forward to that day. And again, I want to thank the police department who will be running that event itself. The library, as Council President pointed out, has hired a new director, but we are also, because of the school year is starting to end, we're losing some of our library assistants. So we're advertising in the public if anyone's interested in working at the library as a paid position at the library as a library assistant. Today, the promotion process for sergeant has been concluded by the New Jersey Chiefs Association. As soon as we get the results, the committee will be reestablished to interview, and hopefully we'll have some good candidates. I know we will have some good candidates to submit to myself and to the committee, as well as to City Council for the promotion process. Also, tonight we have an ordinance that is a recommendation from the police committee regarding the promotion process, and we're dealing with the sergeant. And we'll deal with the other lieutenant and captain when that time comes. But right now, that is a proposal, and I hope to get your support as a result of the committee submitting this to City Council for their review. I just want to remind everyone that my annual recycling program has been started for the month of August and September. Each month, a lucky candidate or person who winner will receive one recycle bin. So if you are interested in participating in the contest, you can just submit your actually your entry to the city clerk's office. And can they email it to Mary? I don't remember. Okay, all right. So that's the option that you have there. Excuse me. Next month, the committee will be meeting with the county and Diocese of Camden to review and further discuss with regards to the findings that they had committed on the county ground. As most of you know, the Camden Diocese is submitting plans or program proposal to build, I believe, an 84 or 85 resident on the county building programs. So the committee will be meeting. I haven't got a final date. I have to wait and hear from the Camden Diocese as well as the government or Atlanta County government in that respect there. But I'll get back to you. It will hopefully, our proposal was like the second week of August, but we're not quite sure at this point. So this, oh, I'm sorry. Let me give you the police report from last month, for the month of June. Just to highlight, there were over, let's see, there were 332 calls and motor vehicle stops. In terms of calls, other calls that other police initiated were 214. Property checks was 757. Calls requested by the phones was 441. In terms of total calls for the department, there were 1,755. So those were and there were 159 citations. So those were probably the outstanding statistics I just wanted to point out to City Council. The last item is this, a request. At my last City Council meeting, I asked if council would consider purchasing EV bikes for our police department. Linwood currently has 2, and it's my understanding that it's been working very well with them. My concept in talking with the chief is that we want to reestablish the bike patrol for the municipality, as well as establish a patrol to help patrol the bike path. As you know, we've gotten complaints about dogs loose and other things. But looking for the versatility of EV bikes for our police in terms of responding. I am proposing, along with the chief, if money is provided, and I haven't spoken with Dawn, is to purchase 2 EV bikes. The chief had gone to a convention just recently and got the specs and had reviewed the samples that were bikes that were on the at the convention itself. So it comes to, with the fully outfitted bikes, of $5,187. So if council would like me to proceed, I would like to go to to Dawn and ask if money is available, or if and when it does come available, we would like to pursue the purchase of 2 EV bikes. So that's my request to City Council.
Is it 5,000 per bike or total?
No, for 2 bikes, sir. The base bikes, or excuse me, the base price for the 2 bikes is $3,895 each. That's just the bike itself without really fully equipping it with the lights and bags and so forth. I'm sorry, what was that, sir?
There's extras on there.
Yeah,
The 3,800 each.
3,800 and some odd dollars, and then you have the lights and the siren, the police bag,
The
the
30.
back.
2 bikes or 2 bikes?
2 bikes.
Yeah, the 2 bikes.
And then there's extras.
Yes,
there.
and then you got the extras, the little
Yeah.
bells and ring.
Literally bells and whistles.
Yeah, we're using whistles. We're not using sirens. We're doing a cutback, a little budget. We're using whistles.
You got the training wheel option, right?
Yeah.
Sissy boy.
Oh, okay. All right. Like I said, we haven't gotten the date. So I'm asking council for permission for me to pursue.
Anything to add, chief?
Can.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Is there any objections? All right,
No.
thank you very much.
No. Anyone?
That ends my report, Council President.
So between OE and if there's any capital.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh, yeah. Never mind. Yeah, it wouldn't be capital. Thank you. yes, it would not be enough money for capital, so, but if there's funds available through another
Yes.
operating budget.
Same.
There you go. And then you'll retire. Okay, may I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I'd
I'm
like,
sorry, city engineer, sorry. I got lost. Try to skip it. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Where's she
There we
going?
go. Yep.
Where?
Sorry,
Oh.
sorry for that disruption.
You're available. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. What-
I just want to say.
Okay. Just.
Be a good first couple weeks of school.
Okay. I'm just gonna say you're available those 2 days.
Okay, with the notify the school. We don't have a date for, you're just assuming Zion's gonna be around the same time. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions?
I have a question for the engineer.
Yes.
And This came, about on my walk around the neighborhood. I know this has come up before, but on English Lane, back behind Country Club, I know there were questions about the drainage. And who owns that system, I believe. There's a drain on English Lane that's filled up to the top with debris, but also it looks like there's a shot put sized hole in the pavement, the blacktop, next to the drain. Which my wife says, I hope that doesn't become a sinkhole. I'm just wondering, yeah.
A
while ago, we found.
Yeah.
Involved.
Remember?
Belong to the water company, the golf course.
Brian, where was the location of it?
It's halfway on English Lane, halfway.
That's where the vault was.
But it's right in the street, there is a grate, drainage grate, which is filled, it's almost got pavement on top of it, like it hasn't been touched in decades.
When we opened the road, it's 85 seconds.
Where is the hole, right in the middle of the road or in
You know,
your?
it's right next to the grates on the side, the curve on the edge, and then that this hole again.
Is it on the golf course side or the pond side?
Pond side.
That one's on the pond side.
On the
That's the
pond.
city system.
That basin or that drain right there is filled to the top with debris.
Yeah, Quinn, take a look at it.
Thank you.
Sorry for the delay. I had to write notes, so I don't forget. The consent agenda, oh, no, I'm sorry, I tried to skip it again. At this time, we'll open the regular meeting to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any topic, we ask that you please step forward and state your name and address for the record. And if there's anyone in Zoom, please indicate by raising your Zoom hand. No hands? Okay, seeing no one, the public session is now closed.
Now you can do resolution.
Now, on the consent agenda, all matters listed on the consent agenda are to be considered routine in nature. And having been reviewed by council will be enacted by one motion. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member, and if so removed, will be treated as a separate matter. Any items requiring an expenditure are supported by a certificate of availability of funds. And as we did note, there are three resolutions pulled from the consent agenda. The executive session of council will be held at the end of the meeting, and then we'll come back into public session to make a comment for the record after the executive session has concluded. Any vote made on subjects discussed will be made in public. May I have a motion to vote by consent agenda for resolutions 137, 38, 40 through 43, and 45?
I'd like to move to vote by consent agenda for resolutions 137, 2023, 138, 2023, 140 through 143, 2023, and 145, 2023.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And there are no others that anyone will pull before we move forward? May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Move to adopt the consent agenda for resolutions 137, 2023, 138, 2023, 140, 2023 through 143, 2023, and 145, 2023.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfano?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of the consent agenda.
Have a motion for resolution 139.
I'd like to move to adopt resolutions 139, 2023.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfano?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of resolution 139 of 2023.
Resolution 144.
I'll move to adopt resolutions 144, 2023.
Can we discuss this?
Yes. It conflicts with the other, so.
It does, obviously. The question I have is, they obviously wouldn't expect, and I don't know this organization, but they obviously wouldn't expect to have access to the field on days that Northfield has games.
Right.
What about, in the approval of the application we just approved, it says schedule pending. They don't have a schedule yet, so we don't know the dates. Would that be something that they would be able to adjust their application to accommodate, do we want to, I don't know.
Yeah, I think they would have to.
When the Cardinals are not home, that field or fields would be available.
And that just be them resubmitting their application at that time?
I did.
Wouldn't that just be a resubmittal of a different application?
Mary, is there a fee?
There is no fee.
Yeah.
There's no fee?
I'd like everybody. Yeah, and I'd like everybody to be aware of the use of these fields is going to cause more expense in fixing them. So, when Greg and I say we're going to have to sod the field, it happens.
It's flag
So-
football.
I think my recommendation is, if you're inclined, move it and second it as presented. Let it pass or fail, and if they would like to submit a new application, it doesn't cost them any more money, it doesn't cost them anything to submit a revised application.
Once band has a schedule. You're saying, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, they can submit their application whenever they want, but it probably makes sense for them to coincide with band. Given the fact that that's already passed. And their application says football or soccer field. And obviously, I know we have concerns about the football field and residing and all that.
It-
I recall a time when we had soccer in Northfield and they played on the outfield of the Babe Ruth field.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So
Yeah, we did that for 1 year.
would that be an option for an organization like this to use the outfield of the Babe Ruth field when Northfield doesn't have games? Like, I understand the football field concern. I'm on board with that.
but we don't have a designated soccer field, so that would just be, they again, with it, I guess they would need to put in if that's their intention. I don't know if that's the size field there. I don't know if it's large enough of fields for them.
It accommodated a soccer field way back when.
Okay.
So I
Youth,
mean, they would have
soccer,
to-
I don't know.
Right, and I don't know either.
Yeah.
They would have to.
That's something they-
probably market for their use, but.
There's other concerns too. I mean, when we're constantly allowing all these organizations to use the field, and believe me, I wish we had more fields so everybody could use fields, but you know, the wear and tear, you know, Greg can contest to this. There's holes out there. There, you know, it's a trip hazard for the kids come the season. There's grass that's sparse. It's a tough, and that field, let me tell you, is the hardest field to maintain. And we're trying to, you know, wrap our hands around it and, you know, keep it nice for the season. You know, I get it. Everybody wants to use it. And like I said, I wish we could do more out there, you know, but it's all we have.
I don't have a problem with limiting the use of the football field, so I'm not even talking
Yeah.
about that.
Mhm.
I'm suggesting.
Going
is
to-
that an alternative, is that an option that? Different field.
I guess, so we can reach out to them, have them apply for that field,
Mhm.
and they can put in, either way, I think they need to put a new application in.
Is that our responsibility to reach out to them? I mean, you can also, you know, contact the school
Yeah.
too. What's that?
I explained to them they were competing against another application and.
Mhm.
They asked for other fields that were available and the only one I could think of was Northfield Community School, and I suggested they contact them. I don't know if they did, but I did suggest that.
Okay, thank you. That's, yeah, that is a good option as well, if that's available.
I believe it was moved, but not second.
That is correct.
I second.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
No.
Mrs. Carfano?
No.
Mr. Deweese?
No.
Mr. Leeds?
No.
Mr. Notaro?
No,
Mr. Smith?
No.
Mr. Palestina?
No.
Motion to adopt resolution 144 of 2023 has failed.
Resolution 146.
Adopt resolution.
No, not yet. I'm sorry. Got it. We'll do 146. 146
Do that?
is dependent upon
After.
our executive session.
I'm so confused.
And we have a motion to. We got it, huh? Motion to adopt ordinance 9/2023.
I'd like to move to introduce, to adopt, sorry, ordinance 9/2023 to be read by title only.
Second. Any discussion? Open.
Ordinance 9 of 2023 amends Article 1, Chapter 97 of the City of Northfield Code entitled Animals. This is the second reading. There will be a public hearing, after which the matter will be considered for final adoption. It will be published in the Press of Atlantic City, if approved this evening, on July 26th, one final time. The ordinance since introduction has been posted on the municipal website as well as in the lobby of City Hall. Any member of the public who requested a copy of the ordinance would have been provided with one free of charge in the office of the municipal clerk.
And this is specifically trying to control animals at large, mainly. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So at this time, we will now open the meeting to the public on ordinance 9-2023, and that ordinance alone. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on that ordinance, we ask you to please step forward and state your name and address for the record. And if anyone in Zoom will wish to speak, please raise your hand. Seeing no one, the public session is now closed. Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci? Mrs. Carfano?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yeah.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Mr. Palestina?
Yeah.
Motion carries for the adoption of ordinance 9 of 2023.
May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 10-2023?
Make the necessary motion to adopt ordinance 10-2023. Be read by title only.
Second.
Ordinance 10 of 2023 amends chapter 250 of the City of Northfield Code, specifically Article 2 regarding Birch Grove Park, the Veterans Park, and the First Street Playground regulations. This is the second reading. There will be a public hearing, after which the matter will be considered for final adoption. If approved this evening, the ordinance will be published the final time in the Press of Atlantic City on July 26th. Since introduction, the ordinance has been posted in the lobby of City Hall as well as on the municipal website. And any member of the public who requested a copy of the ordinance would have been provided with one free of charge in the office of the municipal clerk.
At this time, we'll now open public hearing on ordinance 10-2023. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this ordinance, we ask you please step forward and state your name and address for the record. And again, if there's anyone in Zoom, please raise your hand. Seeing no one, the public session for ordinance 10-2023 is now closed. Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfano?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of ordinance 10 of 2023.
We have a motion to introduce ordinance 11-2023.
I'd make the motion to introduce ordinance 11-2023 to be read by title only.
Second.
Ordinance 11 of 2023 is a bond ordinance appropriating $740,000 and authorizing the issuance of $703,000 in bonds or notes of the City of Northfield for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the City of Northfield in the County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey. This is the introduction. There will be no public input, and this ordinance will be posted in full in the Press of Atlantic City on July 26th. There will be a second reading, a public hearing, after which the matter will be considered for final adoption on August 15th of 2023. This ordinance as well is also presently posted on the municipal website as well as in the lobby of City Hall. And any member of the public who requests a copy of it will be provided with one free of charge in the office of the municipal clerk up until the date of the public hearing.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfano?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the introduction of ordinance 11 of 2023.
We have a motion for payment of bills.
Make the necessary motion to pay the bill in the amount of $4,477,181.79.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Mrs. Carfano?
Yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yes.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for payment of bills.
Meeting notices.
Our next meeting will take place August 15th, 2023 with a 6 p.m. work session, regular meeting to follow.
At this time, we will close the meeting to the public and go into executive session for resolution 145-2020.
Resolution 145 of 2023 was just approved as part of the consent agenda. This is a resolution providing for an executive session not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, which is NJSA 10:4-12 B, in this case, 4, contract negotiations, as well as 7, matters covered under the attorney-client privilege. We are required to set forth as much information as possible for the public as to the time frame they can expect to elapse before the non-public minutes can be disclosed, as well as provide for them the subject matter to be discussed. And to that, I lost my train of thought. For that, I'll defer to the solicitor. However, for those participating in Zoom and for those of you who are present with us here in council chambers, when the executive session commences, you will be asked to excuse yourselves from council chambers. The audio and video portions of Zoom will be paused. The doors to council chambers will shut. Council will remain here. And at the conclusion of the executive session, Zoom audio and video will be resumed. The members of the public who are still in attendance are going to be welcomed back in, and then the solicitor will make a statement for the record.
Thank you. As authorized by resolution 145, 2023, City Council went into an executive session not open to the general public in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Matter to be discussed requires centers upon contractual negotiations and requires confidential attorney-client privilege communication. Subject matter to be discussed is the mainland PBA Local 77 and collective negotiations agreement dealing with the terms and conditions of employment for all members of the Northfield Police Department, more specifically an alternative promotional process. Council will keep minutes of the executive session as required by law, which will be approved by council and made available for public inspection when permitted by law. It is anticipated, given the fact that resolution 146 is on the agenda, that there may be official action after the conclusion of the executive session. And as Mary indicated, we will return to open session for a statement for the record and possible official action.
I'd like to say is that we want to do Amy, thank you so much. You could go.
Hey, Tom, she's been married for a long time, so she realizes ignoring people is good.
Carolyn,
That's probably what,
what?
that's
because
yours.
you ignored your husband for all those years.
Oh, thank you.
He's a good man. After he told me about you this morning, what do you bring?
City of, the council for the city of Northfield has concluded its executive session not open to the general public as authorized by resolution 45. Council did keep minutes of that executive session as required by law, which will be approved and made available for public inspection if required. Specific subject matter discussed was for the position of police lieutenant and an MOU or a memorandum of understanding with the TBA local number 77. My understanding that the council will now entertain resolution 146, which may in fact be the official action contemplated by earlier statements.
Have a motion to approve ordinance or resolution 146.
Look to approve ordinance, resolution 146-2023.
Second,
Roll call.
Mrs. Bucci?
Yes.
Excuse me, Mrs. Carfano?
yes.
Mr. Deweese?
Yes.
Mr. Leeds?
Yeah.
Mr. Notaro?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Palestina?
Yes.
Motion carries for the adoption of resolution 146 of 2023.
Thank you. Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?